History is often said to be written by the victors. But what happens when the victors decide not just to write history, but to unwrite it? To erase entire peoples, cultures, and civilizations from the pages of time as if they never existed? Today, we're delving into the shadows of the past to uncover stories of cultures that were deliberately wiped from history. This isn't just about battles lost, it's about a conquest that aimed for total erasure. Let's start in ancient Carthage, a thriving maritime empire that rivaled Rome itself. Located in modern-day Tunisia, Carthage was a hub of trade, wealth, and culture. Its people, the Punics, were descended from Phoenician colonists. They had their own language, their own gods like Baal, Haman, and Tanit, and a sophisticated system of government. For over a century, Carthage and Rome were locked in a series of brutal conflicts known as the Punic Wars. When Rome finally conquered Carthage in 146 BC, they didn't just defeat an enemy, they sought to obliterate a memory. The Roman general Scipio Aemilianus reportedly wept as he watched the city burn for 17 days straight. Historical accounts, mainly from Roman sources, tell us the city was razed to the ground. They say the fields were sown with salt to ensure nothing would ever grow there again, a symbolic act of permanent desolation. While modern archaeology questions the salt story, the intention was clear. The cultural destruction was just as methodical. Punic literature, which is said to be extensive, was almost entirely destroyed. Only one agricultural manual by a writer named Mago was saved, translated into Latin, and then the original was lost. The Punic language was suppressed, replaced by Latin. Their religion was demonized, with Roman writers spreading lurid tales to paint the Carthaginians as barbaric. For centuries, the only story we had of Carthage was the one told by its destroyers. It was a ghost story, a warning. It took modern archaeology, painstakingly piecing together fragments from the dust, to even begin to challenge the Roman narrative and give Carthage back a piece of its own voice. Now, let's journey across the Atlantic to the Americas, where the arrival of European conquistadors triggered one of the most extensive cultural erasures in human history. We're talking about civilizations like the Aztec, the Maya, and the Inca, but also countless smaller, less-known cultures. The goal was often not just subjugation, but complete cultural replacement. Take the case of the Aztec Empire in what is now Mexico. When Hernán Cortés and his men arrived in the capital, Tenochtitlan, they found a city that rivaled any in Europe for its size, complexity, and beauty. It was a city of canals, pyramids, and floating gardens. The Aztecs had a rich cosmology, a complex calendar, and a unique form of pictographic writing. But the Spanish conquest was swift and brutal. Tenochtitlan was destroyed, and on its ruins, Mexico City was built. The indigenous religion was declared devil worship. Temples were torn down, and their stones were used to build Catholic churches, a very literal and symbolic act of one faith being built upon the rubble of another. Aztec codices, the beautiful painted books that held their history, science, and religious beliefs, were systematically gathered and burned in massive bonfires by zealous friars who saw them as heretical. Only a handful of these precious documents survived, hidden away or sent back to Europe as curiosities. One Spanish friar, Diego de Landa, famously ordered the burning of countless Maya manuscripts in the Yucatan Peninsula. He wrote, "We found a large number of books in these characters, and as they contained nothing in which were not to be seen superstition and lies of the devil, we burned them all." Later in life, in a strange twist, De Landa himself would write a detailed account of Maya culture, but his work, while invaluable, was an epitaph written by the very man who helped orchestrate their destruction. The loss is incalculable. We lost generations of knowledge, poetry, and history, reduced to ash. The same pattern was repeated across the continent. In the Andes, the Spanish attempted to stamp out the Inca religion. Mummified remains of venerated Inca emperors, treated as sacred links to the divine, were hunted down and destroyed. The quipu, an intricate system of knotted strings that the Inca used to record information from census data to historical narratives, was largely suppressed. Because we can no longer decipher most of them, Entire libraries of information remain locked away, perhaps forever. This process of erasure wasn't just a relic of the ancient or colonial world. Let's move into the 20th century and look at the story of the Ainu people of Japan. The Ainu are the indigenous people of Hokkaido, the northern island of Japan, and surrounding areas. For centuries, they lived a distinct life with their own language, animist religion centered on the worship of bears and nature spirits, and a unique culture known for its epic oral poems called yukar during the Meiji Restoration in the late 19th century. Japan embarked on a rapid modernization and nation-building project. This project was built on the idea of a single, homogeneous Japanese identity. The Ainu didn't fit. In 1899, the Japanese government passed the Hokkaido Former Aborigines Protection Act. The name sounds benevolent, but the act was an instrument of forced assimilation. The Ainu language was banned in schools. They were forced to adopt Japanese names. Their traditional hunter-gatherer lifestyle, including salmon fishing and deer hunting, was outlawed, forcing them onto small plots of land for agriculture, a lifestyle they were unfamiliar with. The goal was to make them disappear as a distinct people, to have them melt into the larger Japanese population. Their culture was framed as primitive and dying out. For generations, many Ainu hid their identity out of shame and fear of discrimination. Their language teetered on the brink of extinction, with the last native speaker passing away in recent decades. It was only in 2019, after decades of activism, that the Japanese government officially recognized the Ainu as an indigenous people of Japan. This was a monumental step, but it came after more than a century of systematic cultural suppression. Today, a powerful revitalization movement is underway, with younger generations of Ainu working tirelessly to reclaim their language, their ceremonies, and their pride. They're fighting to rewrite a history that was almost erased. From the ashes of Carthage to the silenced libraries of the Americas and the suppressed identity of the Ainu, the story is tragically similar. Erasure is a tool of power. It's a way to legitimize conquest by dehumanizing the conquered. It creates a vacuum that the conqueror can fill with their own narrative, their own culture, their own version of history. But history is resilient. Memory is stubborn. Erased cultures leave behind echoes, fragments, and ghosts. Archaeologists dig for potsherds and foundations. Linguists reconstruct lost languages from surviving scraps. And most importantly, descendants fight to keep the flame of their heritage alive. These stories of erasure are not just tragedies of the past. They are urgent reminders of the fragility of cultural diversity and the importance of preserving the rich, complex tapestry of human identity. The past is never truly dead, as long as there are those willing to listen for its whispers. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the shadows. If you found this exploration meaningful, consider liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into forgotten history. Let us know in the comments which other lost or erased cultures you'd like us to cover next. See you in the next one.